Under. I'd forgotten about that
You
card.
can ramp into Plow Under off of a Lotus Cobra.
That is much better than hitting them with a Acidic Slime, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Lotus Cobra, turn 3, Plow Under.
You can play a Trinity Green style deck. Christian Calcano opens up Underground Sea and nothing. Steve Carpenter with a land.
Trinisphere and Chalice of the Void also brought up as good answers to Zoo.
Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon, both reasonable as well, though Magus
Yeah.
is susceptible to Bolt. Grim Monolith.
Yeah, fairly recently unbanned.
Yeah,
like last
from
year or so.
City of Traders. Amusing anecdote, state championships, one player eliminated from Wisconsin State Champs, Lester Smerling, because he wrote down Grim Monolith instead of Grim Lavamancer.
Oh, wow. So he meant Grim Lavamancer, and he wrote Monolith?
Yeah, that was actually several years ago at this point.
Yeah, that's, well, still, that's pretty crummy. Were they both standard legal at the time?
I don't believe so.
Okay, yeah, they weren't really ever standard legal together, I don't think.
I think we're going to see a Thoughtseize or maybe a Brainstorm. No Thoughtseizes in Christian Calcano's main deck. It could be a Ponder or a Brainstorm if he's planning and tapping one land. Lays a land, fetches with his Verdant Catacombs. I bet you we're going to be seeing a Bayou. The Dreamy, Dreamy Bayou. Oh, no, it's an
not a
Underground Sea.
Yeah, I really do like these bug control lists.
Well, this is less controlling, right? Like, no counterspell. It does have Force of Will.
Right.
Hymn to Torak. As AJTV, I think his first thing was a lot about the differences between bug lists.
That's true.
AJ Soccer's AJTV.
Speaking of AJ, he has an interview coming up on the Men of Magic podcast. He already did the interview, and I believe it went up already on MTG Cast
Cool.
earlier today. I believe it may also be featured this week on Star City Games.
Cool. Brainstorm, in response to the Hymn to Torak,
right.
Daze
Daze
to stop the Brainstorm. He can tap a Grim Monolith to pay for that Daze, but it will use it up. He does indeed tap the Grim Monolith. Brainstorm resolves. This will hide some cards from that Hymn to Torak.
I saw he drew he drew into a show and tell, a basic island and something else.
Two cards likely to be placed back from that Brainstorm. Steve is still contemplating his Brainstorm. Christian Calcano fiddling with the die while he waits.
And Brainstorm now finished resolving. Hymn to Torak in the midst of resolving. There's a 4 and a 1.
And looks like Show and Tell, and I couldn't make the other card out. It looked like a blue card to me.
Me too. Is it possible it's another Show and Tell? It may actually be Show and Tell, Show and Tell. I think it was. I think that was 2 shows. And now, oh, are you kidding? Did he discard 2 shows and just play a third?
I think he might have.
Wow.
And we see Christian Calcano sacking his Misty Rainforest.
Got something to do here.
I predict a Brainstorm or a Spell Pierce. Brainstorm would be hunting down either Double Daze or a Force of Will, and Spell Pierce would be fine by itself. There's only one Spell Pierce in Christian's list. There's a Brainstorm. 4 of those. Now he needs to find a Force of Will or Double Daze. alternately he could find a Jace to put a Jace the Mind Sculptor
Can't
into
put
play.
planeswalkers into play off the
Show and Tell doesn't let you put a Jace. Oh, wow.
No, very much like Hypergenesis.
Before it's time.
Yeah.
Show and Tell, I think, is going to resolve.
Hypergenesis and Eureka.
Yep, and he's reading it to make sure
Yeah.
he can't. Just like
Can't put the Jace into play.
There we go. He's up. Yep, go ahead. Here's my card. What about you? Here's my card. Emrakul, what's yours? Tombstalker. Tombstalker's pretty powerful, just not quite up to snuff here. There are Diabolic Edicts in Christian Calcano's deck. That is another way out of this problem.
2 of them.
And he says, I do not have an Edict.
Well, that's a quick game 1.
He looks over at the camera, gives us a little sad smile.
Yeah, the fact that I'm almost positive that Steve got hymned for 2 show and tells and still had a third, that's pretty crazy.
Now we see a sideboard for Christian Calcano. Christian has access to Thoughtseize, which is valuable here. It's potentially reasonable to try Life from the Loam as a sideboard card too, just to try to get wastelanding on a lot of these non-basics. There are only 3 islands that can be had here, so that's a possibility. On the other side of the table, I think you're going to see Vendilion Click come into some action, and potentially Leyline of Sanctity to try to blank Thoughtseizes and Hymn to Torox.
Yeah, it looks to me like, I mean, it's interesting that the Christian's only running 3 days, considering Hive Mind's recent kind of presence in the format. Daze seems to be one of the better spells against Hive Mind.
At the same time, Daze does become dead pretty quickly. You know, like a 4th land, and oftentimes Hive Mind is Daze-proof.
Yeah, I think even
the 3rd land because of the double lands.
The thing that makes Daze so good is that when a Hive Mind's in play and a pact happens, you can
that's the good
Daze yourself.
Yep, Daze your pact so it doesn't resolve.
Right. And even though they get to copy it, and they can Daze your Daze with their Daze, if you can just pay 1, then you're okay. You pay 1 to not worry about their Daze. So it seems to me that Christian's pretty well set up versus Hive Mind, but you know that doesn't mean you don't always win your good matchups.
Can't always beat your 70% matchup. Let's presume that he even had that high of a percentage.
Right, exactly.
Which I don't know that's the case.
I don't know that that's the case
I
either,
actually think Hive Mind has a strong edge here.
Hive Mind kind of has a strong edge, I think, in general. It's kind of like people need to have very specific cards to beat it. If it can assemble its combo, then people need pretty specific cards to beat it. And, you know, it's set up to assemble its combo. Christian's pretty, he's got enough disruption and ways to keep them from setting that up, I think, to be well positioned. But I think in that case, you saw him to Turok when Steve apparently either had 3 show and tells in hand or hid one of them and was just able to just go fight right through that him to Turok.
Now, one of the reasons I bring up Life from the Loam as a potential sideboard card for Christian is Christian has so few cards that actually seem like they apply to this matchup. I mean, his Dismembers certainly don't apply. And he, if he just switches Dismember for Thoughtseize, I think that it's possible that there might be cards like his Mental Missteps, which are actually quite bad in this matchup. And he's still looking for cards to side in then. So Life from the Loam would be one of the cards I would consider bringing in.
Yeah.
-4 Mental Missteps, -2 Dismembers, that's 6 cards.
Yeah.
There's 2 Thoughtseize, maybe 2 Pernicious Deeds, even though it's pretty weak in this matchup. 1 Life from the Loam, and something.
Yeah, Deed can take out the the Grim monoliths.
Right.
Almost-
That's
almost said Lava Master.
which is not great, but it's better than mental misstep.
yeah, which is almost entirely dead. Are there even?
All it is force a will bait.
Yeah.
For that matter, Deed could potentially answer random cards that Steve Carpenter has brought in from the sideboard.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, actually, I would think that I would cut the 4 mental missteps, the 2 dismember, that's 6 cards, for Life from the Loan, 2 pernicious deeds, 2 thought seizes, and perhaps 1 random dark blast, because you're like, well, he might click me.
Right. And seeing click in Steve's sideboard could certainly be a real possibility.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Joey Pasco. This
Hey,
is round 7 of the Star City Games Legacy Series. This is game 2. Christian Calcano playing Team America deck, and he is down a game 0-1 to Steve Carpenter playing Hivemind.
All right.
Leyline, as we talked about earlier.
Wow.
And Christian's smiling.
Like,
He's like,
really?
oh, okay.
Really, this guy
Oh,
has
man.
the best luck. Opening on a ley line. 3 show and
He's
tells.
like, go. My hand is, oh, look at that face there. Christian just looks devastated.
Yeah, I'm a little devastated too. I kind of want to watch people play Magic.
Remember the power of just turning your opponent's smile into a frown. A dismayed opponent is an opponent 1 step closer to losing. Grim Monolith, perhaps? Chalice for 1. In response, I think we're going to see our first brainstorm. Now a Pernicious Deed is looking like a pretty awesome thing to have brought in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I spent some time playing against Chris Van Meter a couple of weeks ago, actually maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it is possible to get a Deed to blow for 6 against a Hivemind. I mean, you can do it.
Wow, yeah. I mean, if you have the time to set that up, you've got the mana, you can do it.
There's a Daze, and he's still got a blue floating. And he just lets it fizzle away. There's the land. It's not usual, but it's possible.
Yeah. Blue Delta, go.
Another land. He's at click mana. He's at Pernicious Deed mana. He says go. Land number 4, Underground Sea. Chalice for 1, once again. Christian is thinking about that one.
Can't quite see what's in Christian's hand. Okay, so he adds a mana. Brainstorms.
Is he brainstorming in response to the Chalice?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
Just
certainly
making
not
sure.
brainstorming with the
well,
Chalice in play,
you
yeah.
can still brainstorm with the Chalice in play if the judge and you and your opponent don't realize what's going on. It's just what we need to stop.
Right.
I was hoping we were in response still.
Yeah, it was. It was
Okay,
a
good.
hold up, I'm brainstorming. Now I'm
Fetch,
confused
fetch,
because
fetch.
there's a die on top of it. I don't know if that means it resolved or not.
I think now it has resolved. Untap.
Yeah, at this point it certainly has.
Christian Calcano. Looks like he's going to tap. Is that a wasteland in hand? Yep.
Yeah.
He wastes the Underground Sea. I think it's going to be Tombstalker. Clearing out the yard.
Can Christian pull this out?
Looks rough.
Fighting
There's a
through
show
so
and tell
much
in
hate.
Steve's hand. City of Traders. He says go. I think that's a show and tell, but maybe no backup card
Yeah,
to
nothing,
join with
nothing
it.
to show.
I think it's show and tell passive negation. Lumberg. Attacks with the Tombstalker.
And fetches.
Tombstalker is one of those cards I didn't get on board with until after he had rotated out of standard.
Right, same here.
I think that he was far better than I was giving him credit for. And there's a testament to that just seeing him play out in these decks. Jace the Mind Sculptor. It's going to be a brainstorm effect if it resolves, I'm sure.
He can't Fate Seal.
Well, he can hit himself.
Himself. That's scrying, right?
Once again, Carpenter players around 3 pairings are up.
So we've got Jace the Mind Sculptor and Tombstalker in play. It looks like, anyway. Pact of Negation is being cast to counter it. There is 5 mana there for Steve to be able to pay for that Pact of Negation on the next turn. There must be some discussion going on. I see a pause happening.
Did he target something? Did he not have 5 mana? You sure he had 5?
I think
I think
he failed to pay. I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, he had City of Traders, and he had 3 land. I mean, the City of Traders is going to go, oh, I know exactly what the problem is. Okay. He fetched his land on Christian's turn in response to the Jace. And then the problem is, by fetching the land, that kills the City of Traders, and Steve won't have the mana to be able to pay for the Pact.
Yeah, very, very...
Wow.
You know, you don't even realize it, but yeah, that makes sense. He put himself in a situation where he wouldn't be able to pay for the Pact.
We're going to a harrowing game 3, and now Christian Calcano knows what he's facing. He knows that there's going to be Chalice. He knows that there's going to be Leyline. I am definitely sure that if he didn't already have them, those 2 Pernicious Deeds from the sideboard are going to join the main deck Pernicious Deed to give him 3 deeds.
Yeah, sometimes it's funny. Everybody makes mistakes during games, and obviously having games on camera, you're going to see people make mistakes. I know a lot of people beat themselves up over making those mistakes on camera. I know a friend of mine fetched a Plains with his Verdant Catacombs on camera, and he brings it up almost every time I see him. Like, well, not that often, but pretty often. So it's kind of a running gag. But yeah, you just can't get too upset about it.
I mean, one of the things that happens all the time are these little small gaffes. Mm-hmm. And the question is, this is why I'm sure that there's someone out there in the audience who's like, Steve was trying to pull one over on Christian. No, Steve wasn't trying to pull one over. It was just a gaffe,
Right.
And I mean, like, earlier this weekend I was playing for fun Modern Zoo versus somebody, and I sacrificed a Steam Vents to search out a, I want to say...
You mean a scalding tarn? You sacrificed a scalding tarn? No, I'm saying you sacrificed...
I sacrificed a
that's what you
steam
were saying.
vent.
So you tried to use steam vent as a scalding tarn.
It looked like a scalding tarn to me.
Right. Oh, wow. Wow, that's even worse. Did you hear that?
No, I did not hear that.
Apparently, the way City of Traders works, it's if you play a land. I'm going to bring that up just in case, but this is the word from the judge.
No, City of Traders. No, the
yeah,
Traders.
yeah, you're right. I said the judge and typed the word the. Good thing I didn't write judge. City of the judge. Yeah, when you play another land, but with a fetch land, it just comes into play. So they realized what you said, thinking that was going to remove the City of Traders from play,
and just scooped.
And the judge says you didn't need to scoop. You wouldn't have lost the City of Traders.
And the thing is actually I don't know that the judge should say that.
Well, maybe I don't know if that's
the judge should step in if a City of Traders is put in the graveyard. The judge should step in and say, "No, the City of Traders is not in the graveyard. I'm going to make sure the game state is correct." But if the player scoops, the judge should not offer the explanation.
So the judge apparently just told us that.
Oh, okay. Okay, good,
that's
good.
I wasn't sure
the judge
where it
was
said.
merely telling us this. He did not tell the players this. So that's very good. Now, one of the things that's a very hard balance when you're a judge, you have to make sure that you don't answer more than is being asked. You have to make sure that the game state is checked. So let's say that there's a goblin sharpshooter in play, and it is tapped, and a creature dies. The player can't forget to untap it. The player can't forget to put a token, or a counter, I should say, on a shrine of whatever. It has to get that because the rules tell you. But if a player asks something or does something that is not illegal, you can't give them advice, even accidentally. You've got to be very cautious about what you say.
Is there... Let me see, just looking at Steve's deck here. Yeah, somebody mentioned him not having a fetchable land, but he definitely did, right?
He had one more island left in his deck to fetch.
That was a Verdant Catacombs that could only search for forest or swamp.
It was a Verdant?
I'm pretty sure it was a Verdant Catacombs.
He doesn't have Verdant Catacombs.
Oh, you're right. Then it certainly wasn't Verdant Catacombs. I'm thinking of Christian's side. Never mind. Yeah. He had plenty more sources, or plenty more fetchable lands in his deck. He had lost the Underground Sea, so he had 2 islands in play and a City of Traders,
so he had
a fetch land.
He had four targets that he could still fetch up.
So looks like the game is about to get underway here. Both players happy with their hands, and we go opener. Flooded Strand from Steve. Grabs an island. Playing around Christian's Wastelands. Tropical Island from Christian, passes back. We mentioned earlier that Jerry T said his deck creates some insane situations, and his match has quite a crowd around it. There's about a dozen players watching his match right now.
Chalice of the Void for 1. Christian Calcano responds by brainstorming.
Does he brainstorm into a daze? Or some other way to stop the Chalice. He does not. He gives it the thumbs up. Verdant Catacombs from Christian. Tarmogoyf. We got the beat. We got the beat. We got. You're lucky I didn't start singing 10,000 Maniacs. 10,000 Maniacs when they played Days. Days. Impulse. Haven't seen a lot of that recently. Love Impulse. Impulse has the has that eroded rules text where it says to put the cards on the bottom of your library in any order and then shuffle it.
And then shuffle it.
Yeah, it's like, oops, we didn't mean to put that on there.
So while we wait for this Christian Calcano untaps, Scott Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is a small goyf, a mere 2/3. A Thoughtseize would get countered if he cast it, but it would make his Tarmogoyf 3/4. Yeah, one of the things I've definitely seen with Chalice of the Void is I've seen it in play and had, or I should say, heard about it being in play and it not countering things because neither player realized that they should be countering it.
Right. So, Elvish Warrior gets in for 2.
Elvish Warrior. Do I want to call him an Elvish Warrior?
Elvish Warrior Goyf.
Isn't he I don't know, one of Nissa's chosen?
Goyf. Okay, Nissa's chosen.
And then we have Vendilion click. Not Vodalion click.
Or Vidalian Onions. Or Vidalia Onion.
It's a pretty good hand there.
We got Pact of Negation, Pact of
2.
Negation. Show and Tell. Is that a click of his own there in between the Show and Tell and the Pact of Negation? Believe it is. And then there is a Hive Mind. And is that potentially another click? First card on the left, on Steve's left.
I think that's a Vendilion click.
So click, Hive Mind, Show and Tell. I think a second click, Pact, City of Traders is what I'm seeing that as. Somebody mentioning on Twitter about how a Slaughter Pact looks like it would be good in Modern. I agree, and that's especially if decks like Splinter Twin combo or Pester Mite Kiki Jiki combos start to crop up. They tend to want to Giga Drowse, tapping you out to protect their combos. So Slaughter Pact is a nice way to protect yourself from that, from a Giga Drowse plus Exarch Twin combo in Modern.
So many combos. I mean, the thing is, once we're talking about Modern, they banned a bunch of combos. There's still so many more.
Oh, yeah, there are.
I mean, you can still Charbelch.
Punishing Fire Grove with the Burn Willows combo is something I didn't mention earlier. I think that's another huge interaction in the format that people need to worry about. So,
Show and Tell is placed on the bottom of the library by the Vendilion click, and Steve Carpenter finds a new card to replace it. Turn 3, City of Traders.
So 4 mana available now for Steve, and yeah, he has to use all 4 to play a Vendilion click of his own.
And now here's my hand.
What Christian has?
Jace, Tombstalker, a dead Hymn to Torak. No, pardon me. There's no ley line. Hymn to Torak and 2 land.
Yep.
I predict Jace will go away.
Seems like a solid prediction. That Tombstalker Tarmogoyf interaction also reminds me of
Humility, can't beat it. Jerry Thompson apparently losing with his Hypergenesis deck.
He has a problem with humility?
Humility. He has a problem with humility. Oh my goodness.
Wait, are we talking about Jerry or his deck?
Good point, detective. Okay.
So, yeah, the interaction between Goyf and Tombstalker is a very interesting one, where Tombstalker...
ooh, is that a Force of Will?
Didn't quite see it.
Yeah, the interaction between those 2 cards, they butt heads with each other, certainly.
So they need to print them both in Innistrad.
Meanwhile, we have judges over on the sidelines shooting the crowd with imaginary guns. or something. We have Jace the Mind Sculptor comes down.
So he let him keep that Jace.
What will you do, Jace? What will you do? Fate seal you.
Jerry distracted us a little bit, and we didn't get to actually see if there was a card put on the bottom of Christian's library.
Yep. To the bottom, he says, and in comes Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf currently I believe a 4/5 now? No, 3/4. A 3/4.
Yeah, just creature instant land, I think.
Right? So we got a Burning Tree Shaman. That's not vanilla enough, though, really.
Right. What's
so your
very
Elvish
vanilla-
Warrior was a more correct assessment.
Okay, Elvish Warrior, and then yeah, what's a vanilla 3/4? I mean, we know as soon as another card's in there, we've got Leatherback Bailoff or Urnum.
Yep.
But I think it's more Leatherback Bailoff.
It's more Leatherback Bailoff.
Go with
by
Leatherback
far.
Bailoff.
So, untap with no real play. During the draw step, Vendilion Click, or it might have been during upkeep, Vendilion Click from Steve.
Wasteland, I believe, yeah, Wasteland, Tombstalker, Brainstorm, Force of Will, something else. That bottom card may be a fetch land. I want to say it's probably a Verdant Catacombs from what I can see of it, which is a sliver. Not saying that it is a sliver. There are no slivers in Christian's deck. But I can see a sliver of the card.
Wah wah. There we go. Highland Giant is a 3/4.
Alright, so we have a Highland Giant then. Brainstorm, Wasteland, Tombstalker. Tombstalker looks to be going to the bottom of Christian's library. Steve concerned about the clock available for Christian.
Rowan Treefolk.
Also needs to be something that people know about. Can't be very obscure.
Well, part of the problem is all of the 3/4s have abilities. Southern Elephant.
and it's a vanilla?
It's a vanilla.
All right, I'll go with Southern Elephant. I like that one. What is that from? What is Southern Elephant from? Really?
1 second.
like Visions or Mirage or something?
Southern Elephant is
Portal?
from some set that I don't know the name of.
It looks like Portal 3
Masters
Kingdoms.
4.
Yeah, it's in Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Portal 3
and,
Kingdoms.
Starter.
Right. Meanwhile, we're waiting to see what else is going to happen during this this powerful upkeep / main phase. What are you going to do, Christian? He's casting the 3 Moon Pounder in his head.
In his head. Nice zoom in shot there, Jeremy. Like it. Like it. If there were a social networking site that I could just click a like button, that would be what I'd do right now.
If it had nested likes, I would like you liking that.
All right, well,
Here we go. Oh, it's so close. Oh, darn it, says Christian.
yeah, dag nabbit.
Golly gee.
Shucks.
The Brainstorm finding some good cards here. The Brainstorm from Jace.
Right.
There's
Not an actual brainstorm.
There
There's
is a chalice for
on
1 on the table.
stopping any brainstorms. All right.
Here comes
Southern Elephant coming over into the red
Southern
zone.
Elephants. Wasteland. Interesting choice here. Hitting the City of Traders does more to the immediate mana.
Yeah,
but
I think he's thinking about
the
it too.
long-term mana hitting the Underground. He goes for the immediate mana. I like that play personally.
There's another
Tombstalker.
Tombstalker. So he dug into that with Jace. And he has
Go.
set up quite the clock here.
That little Vendilion click looks so small now. Force of will on that Tombstalker.
Steve will go to 10 here. And Christian.
I think we might see a Daze.
Sorry, I just got to go with the 10,000 Maniacs.
Right. Daze makes the Tombstalker resolve through the Force of Will. And Steve in real trouble now. A show and tell would be pretty excellent right now. If he had something to go with
to
it.
show, yeah.
Do you have anything to show,
Problem
Steve?
with show and tell is it always needs you to have some other card. And hopefully another card that's actually worth playing.
He says go. This basically means that Steve needs to, on the next turn, most likely, put a Hive Mind into play.
How big are those Goiks?
Pernicious Deed.
Pernicious Deed is,
That threatens to make a +2/+2 to the Goif, making it into a 5/6.
Jace bounces the Vendilion Click.
That's actually enough to kill Steve then, right now. He just has to deed for 0.
Yeah, right now Steve has the option of playing
Oh,
Vendilion
wait.
Click.
Incorrect. I forgot. There might not be a creature in the yard. And so that would mean that Christian...
There's a Vendilion Click, I think, in Steve's yard.
Is there one?
I'm pretty sure. I feel like I see it under the City of Traders.
He recast
Yeah.
the Vendilion Click.
So that-
Force of Will. Oh boy, deed for 0. And I think that's the lights. I think that's exactly damage.
There it is.
Xaxes.
Christian Calcano figures out a way to fight through the Hive Mind deck with enough disruption and just a little bit of luck on his side. Team America takes down Hive Mind.
There we go. Congratulations there to Christian Calcano. That means it's a 2-1 win there for Christian.